Hey everyone, it's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 5-4 key game picks. Now, as you can tell right now, I'm finally better. Last week was a bit of a disaster for me physically because I ended up getting some sort of virus or something where I basically was very, very ill. And when I did my video last week on week number 4, I mean, it was not easy doing that video, but thankfully now that I'm now pretty close, pretty much 100% now, and finally able to get I finally got my energy back and finally able to do things now. Anyways, thoughts on week number 4. Another controversy in the NFL, and anybody who saw the Monday night game between the Lions and the Seahawks, another controversy involving the Seahawks. Now, I'm sure all of you who saw the game where Calvin Johnson caught a pass from Matthew Stafford. He was about to go into the end zone to score a touchdown until Cam Chancellor knocked it loose. But the big controversy was that one of the linebackers, KJ Wright, batted the ball into the end zone, which by rule it is illegal, and the line judges missed that, and they should have been penalized for that. Unfortunately, it's another tough break for another team that ended up in losing the way that they did. But but in all honesty, if you saw that game, look, the Lions had their chances, and give Seattle's defense some props though. They managed to keep them at bay. They managed to keep the Lions at bay the entire game. But in all honesty, though, the Seattle offense was just horrific. This is probably the worst I've seen this team play in years, and it's good. There's a lot of questions regarding that offensive line of Seattle. They really need to start answering some questions about what is happening here. This is a team that is supposed to be another year into a Super Bowl contending team, but unfortunately now they just don't seem like it. Tough to say coming out of what's going out of that team. But anyways, other things that happened in week number 4, it's been a mess for kickers. Scobie missing some field goals, including a game-winning field goal, which should have gave Pittsburgh the win. Unfortunately, he got cut. Jacksonville's kicker didn't do well. He also missed some game-winning field goals as well. And really, in all that respect, the Jaguars should have beaten the Colts. And also, Rambo of the Chargers kicker, luckily he got his game-winning field goal, even though he missed it in regulation. But thanks to the Browns' offsides, he got another chance, and they were able to win the get the game-winning field goal. Wow, it's been a mess for kickers this year, hasn't it? I don't really think that the new extra point rule has something to do with it, but it's tough to say what is going on with all these NFL kickers. What's happening here? I almost forgot. New Orleans Saints kicker missed his game-tying field goal at the end of regulation, which should have gave the Saints the win, but it ended up going into overtime. So yeah, it really was not a good weekend for kickers, and I could see that if they're not getting their act together, I could see more kickers getting cut possibly by the end of next weekend. Of course, we had some coach firings. Dolphins coach Philbin was fired. That to me was not a surprise. The Dolphins have been underperforming. They're just not achieving squat. I mean, you get embarrassed in London by the Jets. That's just wow. Just totally just wow. Anyways, enough about week number 4. Let's get into week 5. All right, key game number 1 for week 5 is the Saints at the Eagles. Two teams that are 1-3, and a lot of questions need to be answered between both these teams. Now, the Saints barely beat the Cowboys, but it was a good win. I mean, Drew Brees did play in that game, and he's the reason why they won. And that's going to be a reason why the Saints right now will be in this game. Now, Philadelphia is actually a 5-point favorite in this one. That should be a lot lower than that. I don't know why the odds makers have it at 5 points, but I really think that should be a little bit lower than that because the Saints right now, as long as Drew Brees is the quarterback there and he's playing to a significant level, I give the Saints the opportunity that they might win their game. As far as Philly is concerned, they did not play well against Washington last week. It was a terrible performance. I don't know what's going on with that Eagles offense, but they need to get their act together. Otherwise, who knows if Chip Kelly could be on the hot seat if this team doesn't get rolling here. So you couldn't ask for two teams that are evenly matched in this one, even though they have Philly as a 5-point favorite. So who do I have winning this game? I might go all out on the upset here. I think I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. No, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, why are you going with the Saints if Philly is a favorite in this one? Now, the Philly has really been disappointing me. Their offensive line is just not intact. Poor the Eagles quarterback really is just getting he's just getting fallen to the floor. He's keep getting it was Sam Bradford. There you go. Sorry, memory lapse right there. Sam Bradford is just not playing to a level where I thought he would be playing at. He's just, that offensive line is just not doing their job. Their running game hasn't been getting going. DeMarco Murray really hasn't gotten a lot of touches in order to get some good yardage gain, even though he did play much better last week than he did against the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago. But really right now, there's a reason why I consider the Saints a little bit more of a favorite, even though Philly's actually the favorite in this one. It's because the way Drew Brees played last week against the Cowboys, that just shows you that if New Orleans offense stays intact, I see them winning this game. The Eagles have too many questions on both sides of the ball, even though the Saints are also the same thing. They also have questions on both sides of the ball. Their defense, I know, is not that great. Is it going to be a close game? Yes, it will. I guarantee this game will be close. But I think New Orleans is going to escape with a win. And that's going to put Chip Kelly even more in the hot seat if he doesn't get this team going, if they end up losing to New Orleans here. And I hate to say it, that's what's going to come down to. I think New Orleans is going to win this game probably more or less by a field goal. I expect this game to be close all the way. It's going to be somewhat of a shootout. But I think the Saints, with Drew Brees at quarterback, I would trust him more than I do Sam Bradford. And that's the reason why I'm going to go with the Saints here. Saints over the Eagles. And this hurts me a lot. Key game number 2. Seahawks at the Bengals. Cincinnati is a 3-point favorite in this one. It could be even lower by the end of the week. The way Seattle's defense did play against the Lions last Monday, it's really going to be a tight game. No question about that. This is another game. I consider this game to be very, very close. It is going to be somewhat of a toss-up here. I know Cincinnati's 4-0, but there's a lot of people saying this game could be a trap game for them. Seattle, I know their offense did not play all that well against the Lions, and they should have scored a lot more points than this. And I thought that game was going to be somewhat of a blowout, but it wasn't. And Seattle's offensive line has a lot of questions. Russell Wilson scrambled a lot in that game, and this is the reason why I consider this game a toss-up. Even though a lot of people say, well, Cincinnati's probably going to mop the floor with Seattle. I don't know. Seattle's defense, Chancellor being back there in that Seattle defense makes a huge difference. He was the game saver last week, even though it all goes back to that controversy. But this one's a tough one to pick here. Cincinnati's a 3-point favorite in this one, but it's really, really going to be a very tight game, no question about it. So who do I have winning this game? This is another game I think could be an upset here. I'm gonna gamble on this one here. I'm gonna say the Seahawks win this game. Now, you could say, Cincinnati's playing at a high level and all that, but let's just see what they do against still a very decent Seattle defense here. I mean, this is going to be huge questions for Andy Dalton here. How do you play against this defense now? Now that Chancellor's back, that puts a lot of pressure now on the receivers, a lot of pressure on A.J. Green to really complete some passes. So it's going to be a very, very close game, no question. But I think this is another game. Who knows to say that this could be probably the upset of the weekend here. And I'm gonna gamble on this one here. I'm gonna say the Seahawks win in a squeaker. No question, this game's gonna be a squeaker. But I'm gonna go with the Seahawks here. Let's just see what Cincinnati can do against that revamped Seattle defense now with Chancellor back, and let's see if Andy Dalton can get past that. Tough to say with this one here, but I'm gonna pick the Seahawks over the Bengals in a little bit of a mini upset here. Key game number 3, the Patriots at the Cowboys. This could not have come a worse time for the Dallas Cowboys with the injuries right now when you have to end up playing the New England Patriots here. Dallas losing in a heartbreaker last week against the Saints. It's just not working, and a lot of things are going wrong with this Cowboys team. Even though, why am I picking this as a key game, even though the Patriots are a 9-point favorite in this one? And why should they? I mean, the Patriots didn't play last week. They were on a bye week. And with the injuries that Dallas has right now, this could not be any more of a quick pick right here for my. Even though this was originally supposed to be a primetime game or one of the games of the week on the major networks. New England's offense is just too good for Dallas's defense. I expect Tom Brady to basically just eat them for lunch in this one. There's no question about it. And Dallas's offense has to find a way to break through that Patriot defense because that Patriot defense is pretty darn good. So you pretty much everybody knows where I'm going to go with here. No question. I got to pick the Patriots in this one. There's Dallas with the injuries, with no Tony Romo, with no Des Bryant here. That just makes this game even tougher for Dallas to get past New England. Anybody in Dallas is going to go to this game. You're going to be watching a blowout here. Your team's going to get blown out big time. I hate to say it, but no question, this game is going to be a blowout. Even though I really don't like to add blowout games as part of a key game here, the Patriots do need this game because the Jets are on the rise. The Bills are not playing well. The Dolphins are not playing well. The Jets are the only team right now that's on the rise that is possibly going to try to catch New England, but even though I still have New England winning that division. But there's no question in this game between the Patriots and the Cowboys. Cowboys will easily the Cowboys are easily going to get blown out by New England, no question about it. And it's just going to put even more pressure on the Cowboys in that NFC East division with the Giants on the rise and Washington starting to get their act together. I don't even know about Philadelphia. So no question, Patriots over Cowboys. And finally, key game number 4. It's the Monday night game. The Steelers at the Chargers. Pittsburgh, a game that they should have beaten last week against the Ravens. A Ravens team that has been totally disarray and dismal. All thanks to your kicker. You ended up losing that game. I knew it was going to come down to special teams sooner or later for that Pittsburgh Steelers team, and it ended up costing them last week. Now with the Pittsburgh Steelers but both the Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-2. Both teams did not play all that well. Even though I do give Phillip Rivers credit that he hung in there pretty tough in there. Come on, you were playing the freaking Browns for God's sakes. They should have beaten them a lot more than that last week. Why? These two teams pretty much are evenly matched. Look, even though with no Ben Roethlisberger for Pittsburgh and all that, Pittsburgh's going to hang in there definitely against a Charger defense that isn't that good. I'm sorry, but the Chargers defense is. And I'm sort of a Chargers fan myself. Their defense just doesn't look good, and their offensive line is really not protecting Phillip Rivers. This is why this game is going to be close. You're giving Michael Vick an opportunity to eat that defense. Especially right now. Look, for the Chargers' sake, if they really, really want to continue making their statement in the AFC West, this is a game they have to have here. And I know Pittsburgh needs this as well too, because both teams are 2-2, and they're trying to stay within contention in their respective divisions. Tough one to pick here. Chargers are actually a 3-point favorite in this one. That should be a little bit lower than that. I would say maybe 2, maybe 1. Because the way the Charger defense is playing right now and their offensive line not protecting Phillip Rivers, this game cannot be any more close. Who wins this game? This game is a huge toss-up here. Hard to say in this one, but I'm trying not to be biased here, but I think the Chargers are going to win this one here. But it's going to be very, very close. Possibly, no question, it will probably be a field goal. The Chargers, like I said, this game for me is a tough one to pick because both teams they're evenly matched. They didn't play all that well in their games last week, but I'm going to go with San Diego here because Phillip Rivers is still showing some fight in him, and I guarantee he'll do it again against a very questioned Pittsburgh offense and defense as well. So this is why I would say in a very close game, no question, this is going to be a squeaker. I see the Chargers winning this game. It's got to be more likely a field goal, maybe by 1 point. I don't know, depending on how the extra points will amount to and how the kicking game is going to be. Because Pittsburgh signed a new kicker, and they better hope he delivers. Otherwise, you could say that it's Pittsburgh's special teams coach that should be fired, maybe. But we'll wait and see what happens in this game. No question, this is going to be a very good Monday night game. It's going to be close all the way, but I'm going to go with the Chargers here in a squeaker. Chargers over the Steelers. Okay, that wraps up for my picks for week number 5. For all of my Week 5 picks, go to the sportblog.blogspot.com for all of my picks. And until then, I will see you all next week when I talk about my picks for week number 6. Until then, have a good weekend and enjoy your football weekend.